So I finally got PowerPoint to share. The problem that I see here is it doesn't have all the buttons where I made the PowerPoint. It's just the slides themselves. But if you go over here, can y'all see my cursor? I'm going to assume that means yes. So if you open your PowerPoint and you go over here on this side, right about right here, you'll see a tab that says Insert. So you click Insert, and then your ribbon will change, and then you go way back over here, and there's a tab that says Audio.
I was sitting here trying to reply to you, and my mic was on mute. All I see is the PowerPoint.
Yes, you can't see the buttons on my PowerPoint. You got to look at it on your PowerPoint, I guess.
Okay, hang on. So go to opening my PowerPoint. So what am I clicking?
So let's do this right about in here. You'll see one that says Transitions.
Yes.
So if you click Transitions right about here, and then look back over on the right side, right up in the right top corner, you should see one that says, what does it say? Move slide or something. The default is usually on click, but we want to set it to after.
Oh, I see it.
So when you set it on after, just to the right of that, you got to have all zeros in that little box. If there's a time in there, 30, and a minute 37 or whatever's in that box tells the slide to advance a minute and 37 seconds after the audio ends. And we don't want that. We want the audio to end and then the slide to move right away. So I think what happened is when it populated with time, students didn't know any better. So when I watched it, I never waited for a minute and 37 seconds for the slides to move. I wait a second, 5 seconds or so, and then I say, okay, the slide didn't move. And so that might have been part of the aggravation that we had. So then, I don't know, I hope we've all got the same version of Word, but if you go back over to the left and click the Insert tab, right about here, click Insert and then go back to the right, and you should find one that says Audio. And when you click Audio, you'll get a drop box, I hope, that says Record Audio.
Yes.
Okay. So when you click that Record Audio, you ought to get a little box that opens up in the center of your slide.
That's how I did it for the introduction one.
Yes. Yeah, then you just record. So, and when you finish recording, be sure to look back up there under transitions again and make sure that it didn't put numbers in there.
Fine. I get it with a child.
Sorry.
That's okay. Jill, I'm assuming because you're being quiet that you figured out all these buttons. I'm sort of assuming Jill is still here. I can't see her with that slide up on my.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you are. Okay. So you figured out where all the buttons were,
Yes, I see that.
and you put 0 up there next to after.
I just look at it and didn't do anything.
Are there zeros there?
Let me look back.
That's transitions. You click on transitions on the left side.
Yeah.
And then you look back over on the right and you find the after button and you click after. You may have to uncheck on click and click after. And then look besides after to make sure there's no numbers in that box.
After button.
That didn't sound very convincing.
I don't see the after button.
Did you click transitions over here?
Yes, I did.
All right, so you click transitions, but over here you don't see a button that says, I forget what it's labeled, move file, or let me see if I can find one.
Move file, push, swap, slip, review cuts, random point.
So I click transitions. Oh, it says advanced slide.
Advanced line. Okay.
Top, over on the far right, almost to the end of the page up there, it says advanced slide, and then you've got two options: on mouse click or after.
Okay, I see that.
And if you click after, there's a little timer out there, right? And that little timer has to be set to 0 to avoid a real drag or a real delay in the slide moving. Yes, you see the timer?
Yes, I see the timer.
Okay. Does it have zeros in it?
Yep.
Score! All right, one thing to remember, you have to set that, you have to make those settings on every slide. It's not one of those things that you can set one time and the whole presentation rolls with it. So you have to make those settings and change those settings or make those settings on each slide to make it run smoothly.
Okay.
Autumn, are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. How did we come out on, that's advanced slide. How did we come out with getting the audio to begin as soon as the slide opens?
Wait, when you click.
So we want it to be that when the slide opens, that it starts talking. You go up to the top and you have to click slideshow from the beginning, right? You can do it when it's set up like you're building it, you got all the individual slides on one side and you've got one in the middle. Then you have to click on the speaker to make it play. But if you go up there and click slideshow from the beginning, it'll play through all the way through and the voice will start as soon as the slide opens. But there's a setting for that. You have to work a little PowerPoint magic to make it happen.
Well, I don't have recordings on mine yet.
Hey.
I see the play from start.
Okay, but it's okay if you don't have recordings on it. It's all right. So you go up to the top, go up there and click. Hold on just a second. Let me. Oh, I know what you have to do. Yeah. So to make that setting, you have to have audio on it already. And you have to put your cursor, on top of the audio speaker and click. And when you do, at the top of the page, you'll get two new buttons and the text will be in red. And one of them says playback. It says playback and it's in a different color text than what has been there before. And then when you click playback, you'll get the option to start automatically. Now, the one of them is on click or on mouse click, and the other is automatic. So you choose automatic, and that will start the voice as soon as the slide opens. So then you get the voice starts when the slide opens, and when the voice stops, the slide will move to the next slide, and the voice will start automatically. And same thing all the way through.
I'm so glad this is being recorded.
I don't know how many times, and as many times as I've done PowerPoints, today was the first time that it ever populated the time from the recording time into that after button up there. I've never seen it do that before today. And I'll tell you what, I was actually pretty frustrated. I was kind of in a hurry and I had other things to do, and I'm like, what on earth is going on? Something is not right. They have PowerPoint puts that timer up there in the event that you wanted the slide to stay up for some reason. If you wanted the slide to stay up there a little longer, or if you wanted to take longer with the transition, that you can make it stay a little longer for visual effect or whatever effect you might be seeking. But generally speaking, when the slide is over and the audio is done, everybody in the audience expects the slide to move. And when it doesn't, it's like, I don't know, we just get bored and we get antsy and we want it to move. And if it doesn't move, then everybody kind of, like we said last week, right? Everybody gets bored if we don't have a conversational tone. They kind of tune out. So that's the technical, that's how you get it done. But let's just talk about the slideshow itself. You can see here, this is the first slide. And all it's going to do is give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and the topic of your research, right? So you would say, hello, my name is James Moore. I've conducted research on the impact of power boating on safety. And that's, you don't have to say much more than that. And then you go to your next slide and you're going to talk about the background. I talked a little bit here. I don't know if we can listen to this or not. Let's see if that'll play. It didn't play.
I don't know if we need to listen to C+.
And just remember, make yours a little longer. But I talked about the background of boating, right? I said, when you get a chance to listen to this, I talk about the slide on the right where it's, old style boating, where boating was generally for commerce, for trade, for war. There was a lot of reasons that people used boats, but it didn't usually include pleasure or recreation as it does in modern times. Today, when we think about boating, generally speaking, we think we're talking about pleasure craft, right? Going out to Lake Weiss or somewhere and riding around on a boat, maybe just going to the creek and floating a boat. But the thing about it is, as boats have changed from the old sailcraft to the modern power boats, there's a lot of trouble going on with the lakes where people are having accidents, crashing into the shore, crashing into other boats, crashing into docks and such. So although boating is more popular than ever, it's creating more hazards than ever. And that's sort of the background. That's essentially what I say here. And then we'll go to slide 3, which is going to be the research question and the purpose statement. And you'll see that I spell it out. And I say in here, I don't know why it has a question mark. It worries me. Why it doesn't have audio. Oh, they've all changed. Okay, maybe that's just a PowerPoint thing. But I say, the research paper was driven by the research question, what is the effect of power boating on safety? Terrible research question, right? I probably could have found a dozen different ways to say that better, but the point is, I say it, right? I say this is the research question. The research question is, what is the effect of this on that? What is the effect of power boating on safety? The purpose of this research is to understand if power boating is a dangerous activity, right? Because just like pit bulldogs, most people that boat swear to be good. You can't get hurt boating. They just put that in the news. That doesn't happen to real people. They just report all the accidents. They go out and have a good time on a boat. It's not dangerous at all. So that's kind of what we're trying to understand. And this slide is pretty, I just put a little sailboat over there. You can find something to fill in that slide or that area. And this is maybe the only time where I actually read what's on the slide. but I want to say clearly, I want everybody to know what the research question was and what the purpose of the research is. So spell it out and then say it. Then we go to another questionable choice anyway, right? I know that I've told you, don't just write a bunch of stuff on the slide and read it back to your audience. So what I did here is I've introduced the problem. The problem is injuries, deaths from power boating accidents. And I don't read these numbers back to you when you listen to my presentation. I don't read 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just kind of summarize by saying that there are a lot of accidents, there are a lot of collisions, there are a lot of things that happen on boats, and those things result in injuries and even deaths. And for that reason, power boating is a problem. Power boating accidents is a problem that needs to be looked into. And so I don't read all this stuff straight back to my listener. I let them read what they think. And this is really, it may be hard to read. I don't know how you guys are feeling about reading this much information, but that's that format where you just have line after line after line after line after line after line can be tough to read and keep up with. And then we go to the next one, which is the procedure. So we've outlined our problem. So the procedure and is to conduct a literary review research project. And I think I told you guys there's two different kinds of research. There's literary review research, and then there's experimental research. Experimental research is where, you know, you give a bunch of rats the same dose of sugar at the same time every day and see what happens to them over a period of 6 weeks. We don't have time, and there's a lot of stuff involved with doing actual research. So what we're doing is reviewing the research that others have already done. I don't spell all that out in this slide. I just say that we conducted a literary review research. And I say that, I'm pretty sure I say that I chose non-peer reviewed papers. I did that out of convenience, but also a lot of the publications on safety are never peer reviewed, right? They're just statistics that are put out there that nobody ever peer reviews. They just assume that because it's an organization that is monitored that the figures are accurate. So after we've introduced our problem, then the procedure, then we talk about our conclusion, right? And I tell you on the audio on the slide that their boating accidents happen frequently, more frequently than we might think. And there are common causes, right? And they're listed over here. You may, first thing you think might be those are the same common causes of vehicle accidents on our roads and highways, right? Being reckless, consuming alcohol, having an inexperienced driver, a distracted driver, and driving too fast for conditions. And so just like happens on our highways, you can see the result here in this photograph where it doesn't work out well on water either. So here are some of my references. So you can see that they're not peer reviewed, right? They're all websites. They are .orgs, which is better than .coms, but on these three, because they're not peer-reviewed articles, of course, they don't have authors. The organization is listed as the author. So you'll see the National Safe Boating Council, the National Safety Council, and the United States Coast Guard Boating. And that's all they gave for that. And then, of course, we've got the title of the article in sentence format, followed by the name of the container. In this case, they're all websites in italics. The next one, National Safety Council, has a title and a subtitle. They're in sentence form. Then the last one just has a brief title, just statistics. But the reference page needs to be in APA style, so you have to, put things in alphabetical order, and you have to put things to where they're supposed to be. The author's names and titles and all of that stuff has to be correct. But you want to share it just in case anybody wants to ask about this reference or goes back to read something else about it, or what have you. And then the last slide is the question slide. So if we were doing this in an interactive format, I would say this concludes my presentation of the research that I've conducted on boating safety. At this time, if anybody has questions, I'll answer them. I think in our current format, I really tried to think of a different label for this particular slide, but I think the best we can do is to say, if you have some questions that I can answer, please reply on the discussion board and I'll get you an answer as quickly as I can. And that's it. That's the wrap up. 8 slides, a couple of minutes on each slide. You get you 10, 12, 15 minutes maybe. Do you have a question about any of the particular slides?
Okay, I do.
Okay.
So we basically just doing like each slide being based off each paragraph, I guess. I'm confused.
Let's see. So the first slide is just based on your name and the title of your paper. The second slide, which is background, I would assume that you would find the background on your research in the first paragraph of your paper. So that would be, why is this a problem? Why is it important? What makes it important? Why does somebody need to be worried about this? And that information would be in the first paragraph, the introductory paragraph. Then, of course, your research question and the purpose statement is also in your first paragraph. But I read so many drafts where students didn't say the research is based on this research question and the purpose of this research is to. So many students just blew right past that and used the same kind of thesis statement that you would use in a persuasive essay. So everybody who can hear my voice understands, if you don't have the research question and the purpose statement, that's an automatic -10 right off the boat, right? 5 points apiece. I must, well, not must, right? You can still get a pretty good grade even if you leave those out. You can still earn, a high B if everything else is good. But where research writing is concerned, these are important issues. So they need to be there, and I need to find them when I read your paper. But that comes out of your first paragraph, your introductory paragraph. So
yeah, I had to go back and clarify mine.
Okay. Then this particular slide, the problems could be a summary of all 3 paragraphs, depending on how you treat it in your paper, right? For instance, this information here comes from 3 different sources, and it talks about collisions with recreational vehicles. It talks about fixed objects, which is the shore or buoys or piers. Swamped means that they rolled over in high seas. They just got turned upside down. And then they ran aground, and then people that have fallen overboard. So really, I could not cover all of those topics in a separate paragraph. Well, I could, but I don't know that I would want to make an individual paragraph over each of those topics. So I guess it would be really easy and formulaic if I said, yes, you know, this would be your second paragraph, but I just don't think that that's true. And of course, when we talk, I mean, this comes from all your paragraphs, I think. It's a summary of all of your paragraphs. And then we go to the next slide where we talk about what we've done or how we've conducted our research. So this is not going to be in your paper. This is going to be how your paper is arranged, what you've done, and what kind of research and how the paper is arranged, right? So you won't really find that in your paper. This is just about your paper.
So is
And
that
then,
like saying which, like saying the titles of where we got them from?
I don't think I did that. I don't think I said that. I didn't give the titles here because they're coming up in the reference page.
Oh, okay.
All I did here is say that I conducted a literary review research project, which is the same thing that all of you guys are doing. So you don't really need to change. You can use my verbiage there. I conducted a literary review research project using, in my case, using non-peer reviewed sources. You may say I used 3 peer reviewed sources and 2 non-peer reviewed sources, or whichever, however it came out. You know, you can talk about the sources that you gathered and where they came from, and I don't think that you need to name each one. That would be a little bit much, I think. I guess you could if you wanted to. Then we go to the conclusion, right? So I made my conclusion. It's a summary. I don't know if you put this in your paper, it's good. It would be your 5th paragraph, I guess, right? Boating accidents happen frequently, and there are common causes. And here are the common causes. I probably gave you guys more narrative, like, you know, if you go out for the boating this season, you be very careful, make sure somebody's in charge of safety. I probably put some personal commentary in there that might not have a place in research reporting, but you know, if you stray in that direction, it won't be too bad. So after all of that comes the references. So here's where you'll list the individual references. There's no need really, again, your viewers can read this, so you don't have to put it there and read it to them. You can just say these are the references that I used. You can see none of these are peer reviewed, but you may call out those particularly if they'll be in alphabetical order, so they may not be all listed, you know, peer reviewed, peer reviewed, peer reviewed. So you might point out the ones that are peer reviewed. And then you go to the questions. This is just a conclusion, right? So I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't think the slides are built off the individual paragraphs. I know this is the first paragraph. These are in the first paragraph. This is a summary of all of your paragraphs. This is more about your paper than your paragraph. So this is more about the approach that you took. So it won't really refer to any of your individual paragraphs. This is a conclusion. And again, this is what you learned or the conclusion that you came to. Not necessarily, if it is in a paragraph, it'll be your 5th paragraph. So if you wrote it this way in your 5th paragraph, that's where I would look for these things. Or that's where these kinds of things should be listed. And then the references, you'll already have those. let me say one more time for everybody that can hear my voice, don't include the annotated bibliography, right? The annotated bibliography is a whole separate tool, and it doesn't go on your research paper, and it doesn't go here either. This is just the references. And then conclusion, questions, the end. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Jill, how you doing over there?
What is concluding question for? Like, you know, I thought like when you the end of the slide is gonna be the reference, whatever. That's gonna
The
be
references?
references.
No. So after you put up the references, then you'll have one additional slide, and you can say this concludes my formal presentation. Or, you know, do you have any questions? Or if you have questions, post them on the discussion board. And again, if we were in a personal situation in a classroom, this is where your teacher would pick apart your paper. This is where your teacher would say, well, you said this is your research question, but when you got to the problem statement, you were talking about something else. Why is that? And you have to stand there and try to defend. You have to try to answer. You're thinking in your head, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What happened? And you have to talk about it. So this would be a slide for classroom discussion if we were in that setting.
Okay.
So we're not in that setting, but I don't want to leave out this slide because it's very important in that setting. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, that helped. I got you.
I would never want one of my students to go into an actual classroom to do a research presentation and leave this slide out.
Mm.
So even if you don't have much to say about it, it's important that you address it.
Okay.
Okay.
And on the reference slide, you have
Mhm.
to put on of that then, like you have put on the what the list where we were search. I mean, our search with had to put on of them. I have a ton. Like,
Well, let's make a limit of 5.
okay.
So the 5 most important would
Okay.
be listed here. So that's a good point, right? And this would be a place where if you had more than 5 that you felt were really warranted discussion or posting, you might make a different slide. You know, you might have 2 references slide with 5 each, but we won't make that a requirement this time.
Okay.
Unless you want to. If you want to do it, it's fine. It's a matter of cut and paste, right? Just cut it off your paper and paste it into a slide. So if you'd like to do that, you can have 2 references slide.
Okay.
Would be particularly effective if you had that many peer-reviewed articles, if you use that many peer-reviewed articles.
All of my references were peer reviewed.
Yeah. So that builds a lot of credibility. When you look at this one and you say none of these are peer-reviewed, you're going to think, this guy didn't do a lot of work. He really didn't do his homework, right? And that is absolutely true. You know, I didn't do a whole lot of homework on this topic. I just was trying to give you an example. So, yeah, if you want to, you can put up all you want, but I'd say a minimum of 5, because that way your readers will know that you follow the guidelines and you used at least 5 resources. I think that's what the requirement was, 5 resources, 3 of which have to be peer reviewed, 2 can be non-peer reviewed. And those 2 should have been some sort of governmental or some sort of a organizational paper like these instead of just plain old .coms. .coms are not very effective or not very impressive in research.
Wait,
They're
so is it
wonderful.
okay that all of mine was peer reviewed?
Yeah, Absolutely. The more peer-reviewed papers you got, the more impressive your writing is.
I think most of mine is for Scholar, something like that.
So they came from Google Scholar.
Um,
Is that what you're saying?
it came from what Scholar article.
So here's
Scholarly article.
scholarly articles. Okay, so they are, if they're scholarly articles, that's the same thing as peer-reviewed.
Oh, okay. So all of mine from that.
Yeah. If they come from a scholarly journal,
Yeah.
they're a scholarly article from a scholarly journal, then they are peer-reviewed. Nothing gets published um, in a scholarly journal that isn't peer-reviewed. Although this may be a good time to talk about ChatGPT and AI. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was a professor somewhere who wrote a full, I don't know how he did it, but he wrote a full research paper and got it published and didn't explain that it was written by AI until after it was published, peer reviewed and published. So the peer review panel couldn't tell that it was produced by AI. So in that case, that's sort of a sleeper, right? That kind of he did it intentionally just to prove that AI could create a peer-reviewed paper. And man, did it blow up the academic world. That really blew up everybody's preconceptions about the need to um, be honest, right? Because he didn't tell anybody that it was produced by AI until after the fact. So kind of made the peer-reviewed panel look foolish for peer reviewing and approving something that was written by a computer. It was just, and it continues, the use of AI in research and publishing continues to be a sore spot. And we as teachers continue to look at for ways we can determine what has been produced by AI and what has been produced through the hard work and sweat of our students. If you didn't sweat, it not good.
I may sound dumb for asking this, but what is AI?
Artificial intelligence. Good question. Artificial intelligence. Basically, it is computer programs that write for us.
I thought last time you suggest us to use the test GPT or something like that.
So I don't think I suggested that you used it. We talked about it. You can you're messing with me, right?
I thought you say like, oh, you guys can use that. Like,
You can use a site generator for your citations, but yeah, ChatGPT is the newest AI. ChatGPT 3, I think. And
yeah.
I had it write a research paper. I told it to write me a 1,500 word research paper with in-text citations and a reference page, and it did. It wrote. I didn't spend a whole lot of time critiquing it. I was just impressed that it wrote it, put in the citations. The citations were in APA style. The reference page was in APA style. The references in text matched the reference page. I mean, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, that's what you say. So I said, oh my God, he can use that too.
Yeah, well, we're still trying to figure out how the question is, if we can't prevent students from using that, how can we help students to use it in a way that it's most effective? And we're still, as a nation, colleges across the nation are still struggling with that question. I don't know what the answer is going to be. I'll tell you, the one that I had it right used a lot of second person. Or you can do this and you do that. If you put this and that, you get this. It used a lot of second person. that would not have failed it. You know, I would have counted off, I would have pointed it out, and I would have gone through there and highlighted every time the word you appeared. And I would have counted off for it, but I wouldn't have failed the paper for that reason. The old version, or the old, I can't remember, some kind of a essay generator, it used a ton of research resources with 20 or more authors from overseas. You know, it pulled in research from all around the globe, and it didn't distinguish between, you know, 3 or 4 authors and a full research panel. And so that was always made us suspicious, because those are very complicated and complex papers, and you know, they're difficult to read, they're difficult to understand, and they're difficult to cite. So it's, you know, it was a red flag if a student has 12 of those. Like, uh-oh, where did these come from? ChatGPT. Came from artificial intelligence. I really think, and you know, at this point, it's easier to write your own research papers than it is to try. I think you work harder, and I can tell you the number of students that try to use the template in Word, it hurts them more than it helps them. It uses the wrong format. It's in 6th edition APA. It's not 7th edition. And it just causes all kinds of problems. So it's easier, I tell you, it's easier at this level, at this point, it's easier to do your own writing than it is to try to farm it out. So save yourself some time and do your own reading and writing. One day we'll get a calculator for words. You can just type it in and tell it to write your paper, and it will. But we're not there yet. Good question about artificial intelligence, though. Anything else about the slides? I kind of got a little bit off topic.
I think I'm good.
Jill, are you good with the slides, or you had another question?
Yes, I'm good too. I think I'm okay with it.
Okay, then let's see if we can stop sharing. I kind of want to keep them up there because I had to work so long and hard to learn how to share them. But really, I wanted to share the working PowerPoint so we could look at those. I just hadn't figured out how to do that, but yeah, we'll keep working on it. Okay, I know you guys are aware that next week is spring break. However, I will be working. So if you are working, if you're trying to catch up on something or working on something from earlier in the semester and you have a question, feel free to email and I'll get you an answer back. I'll be on the computer every day next week. Sorry to say I'll be in the office every day next week, but that's just tomorrow. I'm not sure about next week.
I feel pretty proud of myself. I worked my butt off to make sure I got everything tried to turn in this week. So I wouldn't have to do any schoolwork next week.
Good for you. I like that because that means I don't have to do any schoolwork next week. I don't know, that might not be true. I still got papers to grade. I've still got some narrative essays, some research papers that are coming in a little late, and then we'll have the presentations that'll get posted, and I'll be going through those. I'll still be pretty busy. Sometimes I make it look so easy, everybody thinks all I do is sit around and drink coffee all the time, but that's not real true. I actually have to get busy.
Yeah, see, my busyness next week is going to be playing with this little kid in my back seat.
It's so busy.
What are you going to do next week, Jill?
Haven't anything planned yet. Hopefully I can finish my PowerPoint this week and I will be free.
I would say you can just kind of take it easy and smell the roses, but I bet you can't go out and smell the roses.
No, I can't. that's a problem. I love to have some vitamin D now, but I can't go out there, so I have to take the pill medication.
Well, bless your heart. The good thing is you won't get sunburned.
Oh, my skin can't have a sunburn. I have the Asian skin, so I never get sunburn.
So you just turn almond, right? I don't get sunburn. I just get almond.
I get home.
I get sunburn. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I also don't have to worry about being sunburned.
Because you don't go outside?
No, because I'm tan.
Oh,
Oh, well,
nice.
naturally tan, or you go to the tanning bed, or what?
No, it's just natural.
Oh, okay.
I
You
have
just
Indian in me.
got a dark complexion.
Yeah, my grandmother was half Indian.
Wow. How about that? Was she from the Cherokee Nation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the Cherokee Nation was pretty big. Have you guys ever been over to New Echota? It's down around Calhoun. It was the Cherokee capital for a while before they moved to Oklahoma.
Wait, what?
Well, it's not a little place. It's a big place, but it was a community called New Echota. It's over in Calhoun, between Calhoun and Chatsworth.
Oh.
And it was the capital city of the Cherokee Nation before they got relocated to Oklahoma.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got a little museum over there, and you can walk around and see the old buildings and stuff.
Yes.
All right,
If you
well-
saw my grandma, you could totally tell.
Dark-eyed, dark-complected, and dark hair.
She had black hair, like really dark eyes.
Pretty.
Hey, Jill, are we still going tomorrow?
You want to? I have
Yeah, I
my.
got you.
Do you have to go to school tomorrow?
I gotta stop by the office in the morning. But I figured I'd stop by the. I have to be at work by 12, so I can stop about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
That'll be a good idea until about 8:30, and you'll think, darn, I don't want to drive all the way over there.
Yeah, see, I've got to go either way, so.
Well, if you get by, I'm in the 100 building in room 112, right up the hall from the tutoring center. So if you get by campus, stop by and say hello.
You should totally email us that so we don't forget in the morning. Because we'll
Well,
probably look like a bunch of lost puppies.
Let me make sure I get there before 9 o'clock first. If I'm there before 9 o'clock, I'll email you.
Okay. Hey, you said you was getting there at 8 a.m. tomorrow. What are you talking about?
I know, but what happens if I oversleep? I wake up and I might wake up at 8 o'clock, look around and rub my eyes. Uh-oh, I ain't gonna make it, but I should be there. So you guys, if you're out messing around, come by and see me.
Okay.
Jill, I'll message
right.
you when I leave the house.
Huh?
I said I'll message you when I'm getting ready to leave the house.
Hopefully I can get up that early.
Hey, I could call you as an alarm clock. I mean, my alarm clock in the back, he wakes me up every morning at 7:30.
Okay. So I miss you there at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
All right.
Anywhere between
All right.
9 and 9:30, because I gotta stop at the front office first, so I don't know how long it'll be in the front office. But we
Well,
can message each other.
yeah, y'all can message each other and work it out. And I look forward to meeting y'all. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I need you to help to do I mean like you can do it my PowerPoint if you want to help too. No, I'm teasing.
Yeah. I'll bring my laptop.
Yeah, bring your little laptops. I've got a table. We can have a little study session.
Hey,
I
I'm
don't
totally
mind
down
at
for
all.
that.
I'll
All
help
right.
you.
I will see y'all
The only thing,
tomorrow.
let's see. Oh, I started to say not everybody has a microphone on their laptop, but I've got a little plug-in microphone in my desk drawer we can use if we need to. All right, let's get out of here. You guys go on and find something interesting to do this evening. Go see what's on TV. And if you need me, call me. And otherwise, if you get by campus, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. You have a good night. We see you.
You too. Good night.
Okay.
I'll change this cat's name to Supper.